This is TWiT.
We shoshould probably talk about the Apple Watch. I know it's not as exciting.
Yeah.
But hold on, wait. Let me turn up the volume a little bit. Okay. For those listening, I'm doing the new gesture, the double tap.
The new double tap gesture. I thought, that was pretty darn cool. The idea of you can basically have an action button that is just tapping your thumb and forefinger together to do basically whatever the action button would do on whatever app you're using, like pausing music, taking a picture with a camera app, that kind of stuff. Although I have to say, like in the video, they had a little like a montage of people using it in situations where, oh no, I'm holding all these groceries, but I want to answer a phone call, blah blah blah. And there's one where like a student is in a big stuffy college library, and she's talking on the phone through her watch, and the librarian just gives her a glaring look. And I swear to God, if you did not know that they're demonstrating like this new watch gesture, you would think that with the sort of smirk that the student has as she looks directly eye contact with the librarian and makes this gesture,
you think it was like, something else?
God, that's disgusting.
What did you just say?
Wicked, disrespectful child.
Now, there's something about this. I think it's important to point out, and Leo, you kind of gasped about this and repeated it, was how they described how they're doing this feature. And the way that they talked about it was subtle changes in the way that blood is flowing. And this, to me,
that surprised me.
This is proof of concept. This is showing that what they can do with the sensors now is proof of concept for what they would eventually be able to do with the sensors. Leo, you talked about how you want blood pressure on your Apple Watch.
Well, it reminds me, going back to Fitness Plus in the watch, they seem to know the difference between rowing and an elliptical machine. And they showed back when they introduced this, all the training they did. And this is machine language. This is artificial intelligence. They train it on the kinds of, things, the kinds of impulses the watch might be getting when you do this. And I guess what happened is they kept trying it till they found out they could pretty accurately distinguish between me tapping my index finger and thumb together compared to, I don't know, could I tap my pinky and thumb and get the same result, or making a fist or throwing a baseball? We don't know yet, but that's machine learning.
The testing to make that kind of stuff work is intense.
Oh yeah.
Because it's lots of different body types, lots of different environments, lots of different heart rates.
Well, you don't do it with a watch. You do it with a big old thing on your hand, sensing all of the changes and trying to learn from it, and eventually saying, when it does this, these are the 15 different parameters that change by 2%.
And once you get through that basic piece, then you have to go back to the watch, because you got to make sure the watch sensor in its environment, is it loose, is it tight, is it left hand, right hand, like all of these different things. It's the it seems like I know it doesn't seem simple to anyone, but it really is a huge lift to these are just thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of R&D.
To say nothing of like people. I have a somewhat furry wrist. Other people have like a very very naked wrist. I saw on Reddit someone posting about how like they have lots and lots of tattoos all like full sleeves, and they were having like a circle laser removed on the top of their wrist, because
just for their watch,
just to make the Apple Watch work correctly.
But we've known that people were sleeved. I think Serenity Caldwell's partner is sleeved, and it couldn't get a lot of the watch functions to work because the tattoo high. Yeah. I think that's the case of the watch bouncing light through the skin and reading the blood vessels. And of course, if you've got dark skin or you've got tattooed skin, that doesn't work as well. Well,
so much of the sensor technology is still simply optical. They're just using different lights, different colors. Even all the stuff that's made significant progress in being able to detect blood glucose levels without having some sort of a sensor embedded in the skin has been optical. And the problem is that they can get it fine-tuned so it'll work for this one person they're testing it with, but to get it to work, as Alex says, with random person that they sell a watch to at any mall in the world, that is ungodly problematic.
I wanted to mention something, folks who want to kind of preview this feature. If you have an Apple Watch Series 4 or later, an Apple Watch SE first generation and later, or an Apple Watch Ultra, can try something similar. It's called Assistive Touch on the Apple Watch. It's available in accessibility, and they have the following gestures. You can pinch to move to the next item, which you tap your finger to your thumb. You can double pinch, which is the same as this double tap. Tap your pointer finger to your thumb twice. You can clench, where you close your hand into a fist, and then you can double clench. And these all will do different features. So this existed as an accessibility feature for quite some time.
Which tells you they've been testing this for some time.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. And so now it's coming as a sort of standard feature in the Apple Watch. And Leo, you and I kind of talked about how it's a little bit of a way to kind of train the gestures we may eventually see as spatial computing becomes more common.
Yeah, they're trying to get people used to that. That is one of the gestures, as I remember, with a Microsoft HoloLens, and I can't remember if Apple showed it with the Vision Pro, but this is absolutely, I can't remember if it's a closed window on the HoloLens. But you're going to have to use those gestures. So let's get people used to that. That's another reason to do it, of course.
Especially in the eventual replace or the next upgrade after the Vision Pro, where we're supposed to just have kind of little shades or whatever. If we're
it's an interesting question, Andy, though, you raised. Is this somehow related to being able to do blood glucose? The two kind of holy grails that we really want to see in the watch are, let's start with blood pressure accurately. And then secondarily blood glucose, which is probably a more distant goal.
And even if they do it the same way they've done EKG, which is not to give you like a diagnostically significant number as you would do if you needed to manage type 2 or type 1 diabetes, but to simply say, okay, your blood glucose is crashing. It's a lot low. It's dipped really, really lower. We're not going to give you a number, but it's dipped really low in the past 15 minutes. And now if I feel like I'm a little bit logy or off on with, oh, gee, I need to eat a cookie or something like that. Similarly for blood pressure, where, okay, your blood pressure has gone really, really in a bad way. Whatever you're doing now to make that happen, try not to make that happen. If you're doing nothing to make that happen, press this button to call an ambulance.
See, that's the risk, though, when you're talking diabetics, because if you are low glucose or high glucose, you can die. So I think that you don't want to play so much with that. I think that's one of the reasons we haven't seen a non-invasive blood glucose. It's just risky if you can't do it right.
Well, again, that's why I'm saying, as opposed to.
But I don't think a suggestion is useful, because, I mean, I'm going to act if I'm a type 2 diabetic, but let's say I'm a type 1 diabetic, and if my watch says, oh, your blood glucose is going down, am I going to go drink some orange juice? That could kill me if it's wrong.
Good point. I'm sorry. I'll just wrap this up. The thing that I find most useful about these watches is when we all have those moments where, gosh, I'm just suddenly feeling kind of a little tired. I was fine, and now I'm on the bus and I can barely keep my head up. It would be nice to have, sometimes that's just what your body does. If it was, hey, your blood pressure just dropped a lot, and I don't know, I'm not telling you I know why, I'm just a simple watch, but even if it were not something I could see in the watch, but something where later on in the day when I ask, hey, Shlomo, like, how did my body do today? I said, yeah, for some reason you were near death for exactly a second and a half. I don't know if you noticed, but here's the data I collected at that moment.
The most valuable thing my watch does right now is tell me it's 99 dB. You might want to get some hearing protection. That is really, really valuable. Well,
and I think with the blood sugar, because I'm starting to do some research on this. I hung out with my cousin over the weekend in Arizona, and he's really into data, and they're really matching everybody's data to their blood sugar levels. Now they're using the Libra, the little one you put into your arm, and his family kind of got into it, and the big thing is, I'm not looking to try to tell me to go to the hospital or have orange juice, but I'm about to start looking for the next little bit of time. I'm going to eat something and then look at the data.
Right.
And I'm going to start paying attention to that.
That's really useful. I've used those too. It's really
just to start seeing, because I'm by the end of the year, I'm going to stay in that little green zone all the time. Like I'm because the thing that I've seen is the health benefits of staying in that green zone is so transformative.
Yeah.
That I don't have any interest. I'm going to start just eliminating anything that I eat that will put me outside of that space, because as I've learned more and more about it, it's super important.
Yeah. Well, that's why I started journaling, because sometimes if I'm like really, really out of it, or like my brain is just not working well for a few days, it's nice to be able to look at that end of day, just little like 2 or 3 sentence roundup of here's what I ate, here's how much exercise I got or didn't got, and spot those kinds of trends, which is why another little feature that they added to the health features, which is I think they meant to say that this is they enhance Siri across the board, not just across the Apple Watch, so that health information is now accessible via Shlomo. So now you can say, hey Shlomo, log that I took my medication today, or hey Shlomo, like how close am I to check my rings, and that's why the journaling app. Not surprised to find that the rumor is that it's going to be part of the health app, as opposed to a generalization. Hey, here's how to have your dream log, your dream versions recorded every single day, because it is a health thing. That's just as you say, Alex. It's like there are things that you don't necessarily notice. You notice if you eat a bad oyster right away, like really quickly. But the thing is, you don't notice that. Hey, wow, because I've been deadline centric and eating nothing but takeout. I've been eating crap for 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Maybe that's why I'm unfocused. Maybe that's why I'm having a hard time sleeping. Versus, hey, look, there's this week, the time where I ate Brussels sprouts and I had rice with kimchi like for dinner every single night. Like, wow, I was actually sleeping 8 hours a night. Getting these. Okay, maybe Andy, maybe there's some lessons in here for you that you couldn't figure out for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really focused on it. And again, I think that the watch giving us data really makes a big difference in the sense that I'm really moving towards how do I feel when I eat, not what does it taste like. Like it's a little bit of a shift
dosages as opposed to experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel great after eating that Dunkin'. I might have another one.
Oh no, Leo, no!
And if you do,
complex carbs, please.
The problem is when you eat vegetables, the fiber gets in the blocks everything up.
Terrible.
And prevents your body from metabolizing the sugar and the carbohydrates to their maximum potential.
Leo, are you getting a new Ultra?
That's a good question. So we didn't even think they would talk about the Ultra this time. And I guess it makes sense in hindsight that they would. The Apple Watch 9 has a new processor. Of course, you're going to have to put that in the Ultra. Has that new second generation UWB chip that you're going to have to put that in the Ultra. And it's got pinch to whatever. And you're going to have to put that in the Ultra. The biggest thing, though, the Ultra is getting that the Watch 9 is not is a twice as bright screen, which is great for what? I don't know. When
being
you're rock
outside,
climbing in the dark, I don't.
No, the opposite of that. When you're outside and the sun is shining down.
When you're running in the sun.
Yeah, and you can barely see it. Now it goes up to 3,000 nits of brightness, which is brighter than the iPhone Pro.
How bright is that, Alex? That's pretty bright, isn't it?
It's bright. I mean, 3,000 nits. I mean, it's hard to get. So the brightest monitor that I have looked at is 4,000 nits.
Wow.
And now it's a pretty big monitor. It's not as small as your phone.
Well, there's HDR. When they're talking about HDR, that's just these little specular highlights.
Yeah, it can be unless you're watching something that's really bright overall. But 3,000 nits is really, really bright. It just means that you're going to be able to see it in the daylight. I think that where it makes a difference for the watch is what happens when it's sunny. And how easy is it for you to read?
Especially when I go hiking, being able to, I'm going, what does that screen say?
Yeah.
See, I don't go outside, so it's not an issue for me. But
they also have a brighter display on the Series 9. They said that it's 2,000 nits, which is twice as bright as it was before. They also made a big deal of how now the display also goes down to 1 nit. So if you're like with an always-on display, if you're in a theater, you might not necessarily have to turn the display off to avoid annoying other people while still be able to check to see how long is this Oppenheimer movie anyway. How much is this going to cost me in babysitting and parking fees just to find out that our country did something
terrible,
kind of terrible, scientifically breakthrough, but broke through and killing lots of people.
So I'm wondering though if the brighter screen is more because the screen technology is different, or because they have a much more efficient 3-nanometer processor. Are these 3 nanometer, by the way, these new processors in the Apple Watch?
The Apple Watch.
I don't know what node they're on, but they are presumably more efficient. That's Apple always is going for that. Yeah. So maybe that's why you can have a brighter screen, just because you don't have to keep an eye on it.
That was another consistent message throughout almost all the devices that they showed off, that they all said that they were all saying, if we are ever holding out hopes that we're going to see, hey, instead of 18-hour battery life, we're going to get 24 or 36-hour battery life on the Apple Watch. Their thing seems to be that, hey, we put a much better screen, a much brighter screen, a much more powerful processor with the exact same battery life that you're used to. And so that seems to be like exactly what they want to get on about. And I think this is the first year that I was really super aware of why they're putting such super powerful processors in a watch, because I didn't really get it before. Because, how much processing power do you actually need in order to like run all of these sensors, collect them all, and produce a really nice display? But now they really are all about, hey, here is the AI model that we developed that we need to run in order to figure out that you're tapping your finger this way. Here is the AI model we need for crash detection. Here is the AI model we need to basically interpret all these sensors and have of all the things that this combination of motion and inputs could possibly mean. No, it means the intent exactly this.
Hey there, Scott Wilkinson here. In case you hadn't heard, Home Theater Geeks is back. Each week, I bring you the latest audio-video news, tips and tricks to get the most out of your AV system, product reviews, and more. You can enjoy Home Theater Geeks only if you're a member of Club TWiT, which costs $7 a month. Or you can subscribe to Home Theater Geeks by itself for only $2.99 a month. I hope you'll join me for a weekly dose of home theater geekitude.